You can go back to some off-season training. Ideally, you should go back to some off-season training. So we're going to be talking about that. And any other questions you guys have, position players as well, we can talk about. I'm trying to see where I can answer questions on all platforms here. Of course, it's making me sign in. There we go. So let's see who's got questions. I know a little earlier. What's up, Ryan? You see your position players as well. Let me kill the volume here, or I just killed that there. Yo, Brent, performing lateral jumps. Do I do it with one leg or both? So we typically do them like ice skaters. So just do ice skaters. One leg would be ideal. You can do sleds with the one legs. You could do. I do like the sleds going through your delivery, your lower half, and then you can do sleds. I do the front driving side or back driving side where you literally sprint lateral. Just make sure when you're doing that, you're putting your foot down. So you're getting your foot down, not into your toe, because then you'll start internally rotating, and then you're not doing it really as a lateral at that point. Some tips to be explosive with my. So it's really training your body to basically. Sorry, I'm kicking this off so I can see if any questions come up. All right, it's being able to activate your musculature to fire in an explosive manner. So, for example, when I go to squat, I can be holding weight. My legs can be activated to hold weight, but rate of force, meaning that the timing I'm taking to activate that isn't going to be as high because, I put the weight on my back, I slowly go down, more of my muscles start to recruit and stabilize the weight, but the rate of force that it went through to create that stability wasn't that short of a interval, and so that's not going to really make us more explosive, so that's why that's good for building strength, but then when we want to build power, that's the clean where we're trying to throw it up to our upper body, which means to get it here, we have to put more force onto the bar, and then we have to do that in a short amount of time to create propulsion so that muscle activity really, really explodes. So it's not so when it goes into a contraction, it has to go a lot quicker into a contraction, and that's the explosiveness that we want. So, you can, that's the whole intent thing. You can get more intent to try to do it, but a lot of times when we do that, we kind of go where, say, our mechanics are going, which could be our arm. But if I want to get the intent to use my legs, sometimes it's just loading it, putting the weight on it, making it hard for them to move, and forcing your body to move through that movement really does the trick as far as getting that muscle activity. So it's really a training aspect of it. Plyometrics, Olympic lifts, that's really how you train that explosiveness. And then you can get on the mound, and sometimes it's good to do it right after. Cool thing, David Ardsma and we used to do with the Dodgers he'd be in a explosive movement, even a squat, but a squat or a clean, and he would go right to the mound and do some drive drills because the muscles that you recruited in the squat, specifically the clean with the weight, all that muscle recruitment and that history of how you recruited it, the rate of force development, you immediately, within 30 minutes or 15 minutes ideally, you go into the next movement and you're going to go right back to that pattern of motor unit recruitment, movement, all that muscle history, and you can get all that explosiveness in your drill, and then you kind of create muscle memory on how you were moving and everything. So contrasting your lifts to your drills like that, your lifts to your throws, we put that in our PAP routines and our preseason guide. Those things really good at making you more explosive going forward. Thoughts on Kershaw's losing velocity? Kershaw has just been playing this game for a long time. I don't know how many years is he at now. I know he's over 2,000 innings. It's just wear and tear, guys. It's always spending the majority of your years throwing. If you look at Sale, if you look at David Price, these guys, they're thinning up. They're getting skinnier. They're losing all that muscle mass. You can see it with Kershaw. Looks like he's losing muscle mass. I mean, also, they're not doing drugs. I think a lot of the guys in the past do drugs to kind of counter that and keep their muscle mass, but you can see them. They're losing muscle mass. Therefore, they're losing explosiveness. Therefore, they're losing velocity. So, you have to take someone like Chris Sale, you take someone like Kershaw, you take anyone, David Price, and you put them in a hypertrophy program because they've atrophied some lean, explosive mass, and we start hypertrophying all that back. And we hypertrophy that back. We had good 15 pounds of hypertrophied fast twitch muscle fiber and into a pitcher that once had it, and then they're throwing back to where they were. I mean, we did that with David Arsma, Cody Hall. We've been working with Trevor Rosenthal as he's been going through that. You see it. You can take these guys later in their careers. You can put their bodies back to where that hypertrophy once was, when they were explosive and throwing their hardest, and all of a sudden they're throwing that speed again. So Kershaw and Sale and Price, I think, are just good examples of guys that in their off season aren't focusing on hypertrophying the mass, the explosive mass that they are losing through years in this game. Them aging in this game, the wear and tear in this game, spending all your year throwing a baseball doesn't hypertrophy fast twitch muscle fiber. Can maintain it in a way, but typically we see over time you lose fast twitch muscle fiber, or you atrophy your fast twitch muscle fiber. Do you support year-round throwing, or do you encourage throwing breaks? If so, how long? ASMI says if you throw more than 8 months out of the year, you're 5 times more likely to have injuries. So we really believe in a 4-month to 5-month off season, and when you're younger, even more. And really trying to get into that platform. Off-season, preseason, in-season. Off-season, preseason, in-season. Baseball is traditionally now stuck in a preseason, in-season mentality, and that's why we have a high rate of injury. That's why we see these really good pitchers losing velocity, losing weight, losing mass, breaking down mechanically, getting injured. We really need to get into that off-season approach, and then when we do, you don't have to atrophy your throwing. You do need to get out of your high-stress throwing. So we know at long toss at 120 feet, past 120 feet, is the same amount of torque you experience on the mound at 60 feet, 6 inches. We spend more time in our off-season approach in drills 45 feet, which means we're at lower velocities in these drills, and we're forcing the body to use more kinetic chain, which reduces stress up the chain. So we typically call those low-stress throwing. So I believe in your off-season, you do come out of your bullpen work, your distance work, and you work on drills, low-stress throwing, and bringing the torques off and really focusing on building the body back up. Hey, we're going to go to YouTube. So we're live on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We got tips, or Clean 260 LB is good, Eduardo. Tips for a better hip extension. What's a good angle? So hip extension, I'd say the average public has 10 to 15 degrees. It's the one component or mobility component that we can't be in the average as far as the general public. We want to be about 35 degrees because we get in these full strides to maximize power. And in a full stride, if I want my hips to open up, right? If I want these hips to open up in a full stride, I have to have a good 35, 30, 35. I mean, I know it just can be somewhere around there, degrees of hip extension. So how do we do that? We do that through smashing, strengthening, or smashing, stretching, strengthening. It's a good approach. If you go to topvelocity.net/MOB, you can get our mobility course on how to, it shows you all the ranges you need to be in. It shows you how to improve those ranges. Same time, too, you need to be in a good strength and conditioning approach on top of that, because there's a strengthening aspects to mobility. Actually, studies show flexibility improves better with strength training and some type of static stretching. So the combination is the ideal approach based on the studies. How can we get in for a month or two of training? So if you want to come down here and you want to train, say you want to come in November break, Christmas break, you got to come through a camp. And once you come through a camp, it's a 2-day orientation. Then you can stay and train. When you come at that point and after camp, you can train as long as you want. We say a week, but ideally we really don't regulate that. We really make it where our training is open to you for no extra cost. Now, if you need living, we have housing for you. So that's just something you need to check with us. If you need housing, reach out to us. Email me, Brent@topvelocity.net, or DM me. I need housing, and book that camp as soon as you can. We only take about 4 to 6 guys on average to the camp, and the busy times, they do fill up a lot. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to do that, you do that as soon as you can. We got Master V, good idea. Okay, good deal. Talking about your lateral drives. Also, what are some ways to get faster other than lifting? So you should have speed unless your clean is built more on your strength. So, if you've got a good clean like you do, Ryan, and your squat is pretty close, or your clean is pretty close to your squat, or actually, not even that. Your squat's really high. Like, you got an impressive squat and an impressive clean, and your verts are average, then you're probably got a lot of strength in your clean. So we need to get more speed in it. Speed in my clean, I can get it technically by getting into more triple extension, get away from a lot of catapulting. I can get more speed in my clean. Also, too, a ton of plyometric work on top of it, like we do, with all the jumps and speed and agility, sidewinder, stuff like that, really brings more into it. So plyometric and making sure your clean is technically built, more triple extension focused, building more ground force, more speed, as opposed to more strength in it. Just trying, that's the challenge with the lifts. They can become, all of them can become very strength dominant. Any thoughts on the Moto Sleeve and Diamond Kinetics baseball? Yeah, the Moto Sleeve is a great tool for tracking stress. So basically, you want to wear it as frequent as you can, and it basically is going to give you stress management guidelines. It's basically going to tell you when you're at high risk, because you're peaking really one day, meaning you're throwing at considerably a lot more pitches. Maybe you're throwing them at higher speeds for the day. So it really helps you with stress management. I think it's a great tool, but something that's very tedious. You're going to have to wear it all the time. It does give you some metrics on torques and stuff like that. I did a video how you can use the Moto Sleeve to reduce torques in your arm. Basically implementing more hip to shoulder separation is the key. Go on YouTube, search Moto Sleeve Top Velocity. You can watch that. Recommend the tool though. Diamond Kinetics baseball. I like the baseball. The spin rates are popular. And just alone, spin rates are popular. I've been doing some studies at topvelocity.club looking at what's influencing spin rates. The highest correlation so far has been about a medium correlation with trunk speeds. So there's a lot more I want to do, but trunk speeds are actually showing close to a strong correlation to influencing spin rates. So spin rates help. If you have a high spin rate for your velocity, then your balls will be more deceptive. If you have a low spin rate for your velocity, your balls will be more deceptive. So it can be used in deception. It can be used in pitch development, developing some different pitches that you like. If you check out our pitch grips course with David Ardsma, MLB pitcher David Ardsma, topvelocity.net/pitch-grip. That would be a good tool, the Diamond Kinetics baseball, to use in that programming, because David talks about the spin you're looking for, and ideally, like in your breaking pitches, if you can get your spin rate up with using an assessment tool like a Diamond Kinetics ball. Now, the Diamond Kinetics ball isn't showing you horizontal and vertical break. So like the Rhapsodos, flight scopes, they're showing you those movements over the plate, and that's also incredibly important. So if I'm designing a pitch or developing a pitch, and I want to get a certain amount of break to a certain location, complement, say my fastball goes up and in, and I want to break down and away, kind of an opposite angle in the same plane, getting those tools, which would be the Rhapsodos, the flight scopes, could help you kind of do that kind of a pitch development. But I like them all. I like the Diamond Kinetics because it's a lot cheaper, and I like the Moto Sleeve because it's a great tool. Also like 4D Motion. 4D Motion is a full body suit. It's not really a suit. It's just straps that you can put sensors all over your body and get sequencing. You can understand your kinetic sequencing. You can understand how your hip to your shoulder separation is working. I think the only thing that they need to... Sorry, I stopped because Instagram just went out. The only thing that they need to get better at with 4D motion is the arm path, and that's mainly because that hurts. Sorry guys, with Instagram, you just dropped out at Instagram, kicked you back on. But they need to get their hertz a little higher. 4D motion gets their hertz higher. They'll be capturing the arm speeds better. But that's a big thing for 4D motion right now because they're capturing the whole body movement, so the sensors are sending in a lot of data. So it just gets broadband intensive, basically. So, well, I lost all my great questions on Instagram. That really killed it. I do have another question here on YouTube. Instagram, if you asked a question, I didn't get to it, ask it again because I just lost a bunch of questions. Let's see, what a good drill for ankle extension to initiate triple extension. So ankle extension is a great component as far as how it implements or influences triple extension. So if I'm back here and I really want to get this hip to drive through, it's hard to do that through your glute, just squeezing my glute. See, if I squeeze my glute, it wants to go here. If I extend my knee maybe a little farther, and if I extend my ankle, it really kind of finishes it off. So the ankle extension is really a great piece to get your hips to drive open hard and optimize separation. How to get a drill to get your ankle to extend, any type of like inverted sprinting, so hill sprinting is huge, but if you don't have hills, you could do sleds. You could push a sled in a really inverted angle. You could build a little ramp that you sprint up or even walk up, just loading dorsiflexion, firing out of dorsiflexion. And then also to just king of the hills, sitting on the king of the hill. If y'all don't know what the king of the hills are, I'll show you. Here's the king of the hills, topvelocity.net/KOH. To get the king of the hills, 25 pounds of metal here. And when you put it on the ground, it slides back and forth, has a little plunger, and it gives you a click. This one's really tight, but there it goes. Okay. You see I was up here pushing, wasn't getting a pop, had to get down, had to push through that ankle. Really great tool to teach ankle kicking, back leg driving. Even if you get my program with it at topvelocity.net/KOH, it shows you drills on how to use it for the front leg and really get good front leg work out of it. Cool. Instagram picking up again. Looks like I got my questions back. Thanks, guys. Pronation Arm Path. So, it's a popular term, pronation. So pronation, how does that work with pitching? So here's the thing. Did somebody throw me a baseball? Throw me a baseball?
Hit the pole. Want me to sign it?
No. So, for example, pronation is the wrist turning inward, right? So when you throw the pitch, we all actually pronate. It's not a matter of how do I pronate? You do. It's just when do you pronate? How do you accelerate pronation? How do you get early pronation? Early pronation is a correlation to reduce stress on the elbow. So what's the opposite of pronation is supination. So supination is thumb back. So like the can is up, and if you're holding a can, and then pronation is thumb down or empty in the can. So here's how it works. Typically with baseball or any movements, you have action reaction because there's a stretch shortening. When the elbow's up, and the arm lays back, that's external rotation, okay? And just going off that, external rotation is the layback. To create internal rotation, which is what releases the ball, we load an external rotation. So if I load an external rotation, then the firing of that, the stretch shortening of that, creates internal rotation. Well, the forearm's doing a similar thing. It's supinating as it externally rotates, so the thumb is going back as it externally rotates, and you're resisting supination by trying to pronate and then once that stretches and fires with internal rotation, it pronates. So here's the thing: if you want to get more pronation, you get more supination, or you resist more supination, was probably the better way of saying it. And that's how you work on it. You work external rotation, supination, internal rotation, pronation. And it's a stretch shortening effect that we use typically with footballs, because a football really teaches it well, because not if I'm pushing my elbow. If I'm throwing a football like this, like a baseball, without turning my shoulders, then that forces good pronation, forces good supination to pronation, because that's what spirals a football and gives you a tight spiral. So our football drills, we have that in our beginner's guide. It's a great tool for doing that.
Mind if I join in?
I don't know. Can Adam join in, guys? Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
So
Is this Instagram?
Yeah, and it just crashed, and we lost all my questions, but a lot of guys put it back. Was Mariano Rivera the best pitcher of all time? I know he was a closer, but a closer is a pitcher too. I mean,
I think you could say the best closer of all time, but the best pitcher, I mean, there's different categories. You know, best starting pitcher, best closer, best, middle relief guy. I mean, it's all different.
I mean, I worship the guy, but he was an amazing pitcher, unbelievable to watch, crazy athlete. They said he was jumping 42 inches vertical jump at the end of his career. But I think what he really did well was he mastered two good pitches, fastball and a cutter, and built his career on it, and really knew how to present it to hitters, all hitters, and be effective with it. And then he was incredibly, incredibly consistent and stayed healthy through his career. So I definitely would put him up there, one of the best relief pitchers. And I think they do that in baseball. You really got to separate your relief pitchers from your starting pitchers, because they're different pitchers. But he's definitely one of them. I enjoyed watching him.
When do you recommend moving on to level 2 or level 3?
So level 2 with the 3x pitching velocity program is best for those who've cycled twice the Ace Pitcher Handbook, and in both those cycles you were applying your percentages. If you were in a beginner cycle, which is you didn't have your percentages, your max percentages, and you were trying to build to a max week, the thing is that's not really a count as a cycle. I want to see 2 cycles of Ace Pitcher Handbook with those percentages being applied. Then at that point, if you feel like you're kind of bored and you're not going to see as many gains anymore, then go to level 2, and then level 2 you could do 1 cycle and go to level 3. Level 2 is a transitional cycle to level 3. Brings in a lot of single leg work, really even overloads volume, get a lot of hypertrophy and growth, and then bring you into level 3, which is like Ace Pitcher Handbook, but the power is just a little bit more aggressive in what we're developing. You do have a requirement in level 3. You have to have a 1.3 power to weight ratio. Are you and the top V boys going to be at ABCA this year? Heck yeah, we're fired up. We always have fun at ABCA. Going to be in Dallas. I got to get out of there fast, but I'll be there all 3 days. We're really looking forward to it. So ABCA, we even have our booth number. I just don't know what our booth number is, but we're pretty excited about it. We're going to be in there with Velo Pro, King of the Hill, and 4D Motion. I think we're actually by the entrance. Like, we're right by the entrance where people go in and come out on our own little spot, so it's going to be pretty cool. Let me go to YouTube. YouTube, if a 300-pound man like Adam, right here,
Yeah,
and a 150-pound man both had power-to-weight ratios of 1.5, who will throw harder? Well, you got to tell me mobility. You got to tell me height. I need a lot of other factors there. Strictly on power production, it would be the same, so nothing changes. It's just other factors at that point. How to improve hip extension. So I just went over that, talked about it earlier in the video, so you can go on YouTube. YouTube will usually keep these streams forever, so go watch the beginning of this. I talked about it. Go to topvelocity.net/MOB. Do you see anything on there you want to answer?
Ask throwing calendar recommendations.
So we
Did somebody
have
already asked that?
No, we have a off-season, preseason, in-season programming calendar, 3 calendar systems. So off-season, preseason, in-season throwing is all different. So you should be, that would be why you get the Top Velocity programs, is so you can get into those calendars and know that in your off-season, like we were saying earlier, it's a low-stress, drill-based throwing. Preseason, you start building in your bullpens, and then in season, you're in your bullpens. So the difference is you're working around your cycle in season, then preseason. You're still working around a cycle, preparing for it, but you're doing a little bit more drill work, probably less drill work in the season with it, but off season's all drill work. Can someone still throw hard with great weight room numbers and average front leg extension? Yes. If you look at, I don't know his weight room numbers, but if you look at the guys who don't have a lot of front leg extension that throw hard, like Kinley Jansen, Brandon Morrow, I think Edwin Diaz doesn't have a lot of it. So the thing is with the front leg, it has a high correlation of ball velocity, but it doesn't mean you have to do it to throw hard, because there's guys who don't do it because they get more back leg drive. So it's really the relationship of front leg to back leg and creating force production to drive hip rotation.
Well, it's like Verlander. You said he doesn't really separate, but he gets really good on the front
He separates. He just doesn't separate like Chapman.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I got some at Periscope. Can you get ankle extension with a rest ankle monitor on? Trevor Bauer laughing out loud. That was hilarious. That was pretty funny. I like that. Let's see. I'm getting out of breath. Someone said I'm out of breath on here. Yeah, I'm having a hard time keeping up. You guys got me worn out.
All right.
What else we got?
Zach Grant asks, what are the chances of Edwin's throwing 115?
Answer that, Adam.
Well,
tell him who Edwin is first.
Yo, Edwin's. Where's Edwin's? Yo, go get Edwin's, man. Why? Because of the.
Why don't you tell him who Edwin is before you answer the question?
He's just a beast.
Someone just asked, what are the chances Edwin would throw 115?
99.
99?
We're not talking about like chances of him doing it. It's just when is it going to happen?
Oh, by January.
What would you say, Brett?
Why don't you tell him who Edwin is so they don't know who we're talking about?
Well, I think I'd rather.
Coming out, bro.
He's not?
They said if it's the 115 thing, he's not.
How far should a pitcher counter his trunk? Optimally. So counter rotate. Well, here's the thing. If you're coming out of your leg lifts, the counter rotation of the trunk starts separating from the hip. That's what we want. That back hip to back shoulder separation. So as we're coming out of the lift, we start separating those, because when we go to drive, we want that delay. Shoulder delay, elbow delay, wrist delay, right? That's how the whip. So I want to counter rotate, but I don't want to counter rotate so far that the opposite reaction is just to fly and rotate open, because I'm trying to get a lot of linear trunk following hip to shoulder separation. So if I go too much counter rotation, then it kind of kills my linear trunk and I just start flying and swinging and rotating. So it should just be enough initially to get away from the hip, and then as you drive, we want as much as we can get. Ultimately, it's staying in a closed orientation with maximum hip drive. That would be the key at that point, is getting as much as we can. I played with your friend Bob Wheatley. You're carrying his Wheatley power bars. Yes, he's the man. Bob's the man. I don't know. Is he still selling the bars? I haven't talked to him in a while. We used to stay on it pretty much. I actually wanted him to do more power bars because he was doing more weight loss stuff. But he needs to get them to me if he's still doing it. Does sprinting help hip extension mobility? No, because it's a upright movement. So hip extension mobility is really going to be in a full stride. So in your full stride driving drills, that's where you're going to work on it. And it's one component. Like most of your weight room doesn't work on it unless you're lunging, and you can't even do a typical back knee bend lunge or reverse lunge. You have to actually do our power lunges where you're lunging with a full extended back leg to really get into that hip extension. That's why, because you don't really hit it that much, that's why it typically stays pretty limited. So, adding in a lot of extra work in through hip extension and loading through hip extension is really key, something very important. Let's see, throwing calendar for a high school player that pitches and plays infield. So, it depends on what season you're in. So, I don't know what you're talking. If you can make that specific, what season are we in? Off season, preseason, in season? As far as a pitcher to position player, throwing calendars, you still, same thing. In your off-season, you should be drill-based, purely in drills. You're using the off-season to improve mechanics, develop the body. You don't need wear and tear on the arm, so just get it off the arm. Preseason, now we're trying to peak for season, so we need to build in for the pitcher bullpens. We can bring in some distance to help increase the volume on the arm to prepare the soft tissue in the arm for handling the wear and tear that it needs to handle through the season. And position players in the preseason, same thing, are trying to peak. They should be working distance, say from the outfield or position. They should be working different style of throws, backhands, momentum type throws to the ball, defensive moves and throwing from different defensive moves. But that should be only in a preseason model. In the off-season model, they should be taking that stress off the body, building strength and power, and learning good biomechanics. You can still work through simulated defensive positions, but you can do that through drills, which we typically do with our med ball drills for position players. TopVelocity.net, 2x-Velocity is our position player programs that use that model in the off-season, teaching biomechanics through the drills. Is it okay to have this program? Is it okay to have program is the holy grail to get me to the elite level mindset? If you truly believe in the program, if you truly believe the program is going to equip you with everything you need to get to an elite level, of course, because that's called commitment. And commitment is what allows you to truly benefit from a program. So if people were like, well, what's a better model? Cherry picking every program or picking one program you believe in and fully committing to it? I'm going to always say that. It's going to be the same thing in anything you do. For example, a diet or your health. Like, am I going to take, the doctor wants to take, me to take these medications, but I'm going to take all these medications that all these doctors tell me to take at once. I mean, the point is, like, if you're not the expert and you don't understand how this works, there's a really good chance that's a bad strategy. Same time with business. It's like, I'm going to go out and buy a McDonald's franchise and I'm just going to be the best McDonald's franchise owner in the business. That's a better approach than I'm going to buy Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, and I'm going to mix them all to make Taco King, and I'm going to make it the best chain. So it's like, I really believe it is good. Once you find something you believe in, and you believe it is the roadmap for you, you have to commit. It's really what's going to make or break your success in your career. Because I know that mindset of, if I don't get results, do you get my money back? Because it's already setting yourself up for failure, which I agree with. Good point. That's why I took away the money back guarantee thing. I don't do that anymore because it set people up. People come in and that was the question right off the bat. Do I get my money back if I don't have get the benefits you say? And I didn't want to work with those people. So I can't talk to everyone, so I took that off. I don't offer that. I give you enough information out there doing these streams and all the thousands of videos and social media content we put up for you guys to know what the hell this is all about. I don't think you need a safety net. You should sit here and learn, and you need to know this is right for you, or any program you go into. You need to know it's right for you because it has the components that you lack to get where you want to get, and then you got to commit and don't look back. How can I find a coach trainer that does the 3X Velocity program near me in New Jersey? I think the closest guy I have in New Jersey is in New York. Angel Lugo's place up in the Hudson Valley, in Fishkill, Wappinger Falls. Guy's ideal. I mean, here's the thing. I know that's far away, but if you can go up there once a week and then do your other training wherever you are and just use him as a place to get get the mindset, get the work, get the analysis, the evaluations, I would do that. Big fan of what he does up there. And he had a first-round draft pick this year, Lenny Torres Jr., who's up there training too. We just went up there and had a trip with him. If I could put all footage together, we could actually I have a grind on everything. I need to do that for you guys. But yeah, I would highly recommend him. Do you have any suggestions for weight gain? My son is 6'6", approximately 185, throwing 86, 89, class of 2020. Well, if you look at the studies, improving caloric intake is important for weight gain. So, obviously counting your calories and seeing your R and going into a calorie surplus, that's going to support weight gain. And also, too, you're training, forcing hypertrophy, and then bringing in more calories, specifically a well-balanced calories of fats to proteins to carbs, which are your macronutrients. Proteins, studies show around 1 gram to 1.5 grams per body weight. is going to support a good amount of protein for developing lean mass in your calorie surplus. But if you don't get a calorie surplus, your body starts using most of its calories for energy, which isn't going to allow it to build. If you get into a calorie surplus, now it can do things like store fats, you build muscle with more proteins. So that's why you have to be in a calorie surplus to really build and make those velocity or those weight gains. Now you got to make sure your weight is lean. So that's why it's got to be coupled with a type of training approach like the 3X or 2X programs, because those programs and the training are going to hypertrophy fast twitch muscle fiber, are going to help you buffer more ATP, more glycogen in your muscles. So you're going to be using those. It's going to make the body a lot more efficient to use those calories well. To use them to really build an elite machine. So if you're not putting the demands on the body with the calories, you might not be getting the exact results you want. That's the key. The throwing calendar for a high school player that pitches and plays infield. I just read that. Did I drop down? Do you recommend for young? Okay. Do you recommend for young pitchers to completely shut their arms down for some amount of time in the winter? Like I said, ASMI. You throw more than 8 months out of the year, you're 5 times more likely to have injury. You throw more than 30, or you throw fatigued, you're 36 times more likely to have injury. So I want to get out of fatigue. I want to get out of that 8 months of a year throwing. I also don't want to atrophy my biomechanics. So, we have a 2-pound med ball approach with 2 hands. It's an overloading approach that doesn't overload the arm. It overloads the legs, the core, and it's ideal for keeping those biomechanics hypertrophied, or doesn't allow them to atrophy, and keeps them sharp. It actually helps them improve because it's forcing you to use more of your body, not your arm. That's an ideal thing to do in the winter. Our drills can be done at 45 feet, so you don't need crazy distances. If you're in really cold climates and you got a garage that's got 45 feet, ideal. You can sit in that garage all off season, work your target throws, or your med balls, which is the med ball throws to the target throws, and be in low stress, and you really are taking the torques off your arm and following the ASMI recommendations, but you're not atrophying your biomechanics, which is a problem too, because when the season comes around, your biomechanics are a mess. And if you ramp it up too fast, now you're in an injury because your soft tissue was too weak because of the atrophy due to all the lack of throwing. So that's what there's a lot to this, guys. I recommend you get into a 3X programs or 2X programs, so you got that training model, specifically off-season, preseason, end season. What is the limit to chest exercise as a pitcher? What max do you recommend are just body weight workouts such as push-ups? So you do need a lot of upper body strength. I do need to do some more studies on upper body strength to pitching velocity. It's going to support the foundation that we're trying to build, which is a strong, explosive, healthy pitcher. Here's the thing. When you have a weak upper body, and typically studies show pitchers have weaker shoulders than the general public on average, that when you start off, you might want to be in a body weight approach, push-ups, light dumbbells, tubing, but you do need to eventually get to a good loaded amount of weight over time. If you rush it, we can hurt ourselves. It needs to build up over time. The problem is, and the reason coaches get, really poo-poo overhead lifting, is because a lot of it is being done in season. So if I'm throwing every day and I don't have a strong upper body, and then I go and crush it with an overhead press, a bench press, then the next day I can barely pick my arm up and I got to go throw again, then I got a sore arm and I might get hurt. That's the problem with it. You need to build your overhead strength in the off season. So you need to start off light and build up. And I'll tell you right now, if you feel any pressure, any pinching, any pain, when you're lifting, you're just lifting too heavy, guys. And sometimes you don't realize you're that weak. So you got to start really low and build yourself up through like a model we do with Top Velocity, a periodization model, which prevents overtraining and helps you make games quickly and healthy. So you got to build that in the off season. So when you go in the end season and the coach says, all right, or you want to do your overhead work and you want to build some overhead strength, it doesn't shut your arms down to when you go throw the next day. It's something that your body had the strength. It was just a maintenance set of training. And you go out the next day, yeah, you're a little tired, but you can do your throws no problem and you recover really quickly, and actually helps you recover quickly because you have the strength. But it needs to be done in the off season. Do most people in your program see a huge weight gain, like 20 to 30 plus pounds? Also, do you recommend eating 4,000 calories for weight? So yeah, the guys who come in here and follow the program well to the T, they commit hard, they really work on the technique, they really start to build up through the periodization model, they really start to put weight on the bar and it starts to happen, and yeah, they're eating a lot of calories. You know, I can't say specifically what calories you should eat. I'm not a dietitian. I'm only allowed to give you education in the matter. But yeah, like I said, we've got to get into a surplus of calories. And the more we get into that surplus of calories, meaning eating above our energy demands, the more potential we have to build where our body uses our fuel or our food, not so much as fuel, but as building blocks, because we have the luxury to do that because we're meeting our caloric intake. In the extreme pitching program and the nutrition 6'1", 196 pounds, let's see, 196 pounds, a 15-year-old cleans 175, vert jumps 30, what should my velo be? Well, it depends. You know, your vertical jump is pretty decent. Yeah, it's good. Your cleans are down. Just probably technically you haven't spent a lot of time there. I don't know. You know, it doesn't tell me how well you move laterally. It doesn't tell me a lot there. Ultimately, you know, you could be at the lowest in the low 80s or the best at the high 80s, close to 90. But there's a lot of information that I need there. All right, guys, I got another 10 minutes here. Let me try to fly through these. I'm 20, 6'4", recently lost 30 pounds of fat over the summer, and I fall down to 220. How long do you think I should get to? I'm doing heavy lifting while losing the weight, 350 pounds. So talking about losing weight, you got to be careful losing weight. I don't really like to take the losing weight approach. I like to just put more of the demand on the body to get more efficient in the training, get more explosive, and letting the food I eat and the body I have morph and change to a more elite, explosive, lean athlete. Don't think weight loss, really just think enhancement. Enhance all aspects of your body. Currently play college ball in South Carolina. Cool, man. I hope you won the lottery. I heard that ticket went off in South Carolina. DIY version of King Hill or for push-off? Can you ask that a question again? Do you believe in weighted balls? No. You know, weighted balls being used for light toss, I'm not worried about. But when you try to use it for high intent, for velocity gains, I'm a big believer against it, showing a lot of injury. Can you break down Zach Britton and find out how the hell he throws a 98-mile fastball? Yeah, we did. We did a show on Zach Britton. Search Zach Britton. Top velocity, really big guy, a lot of upper body in his throws, you know, big and explosive. What should I strengthen to protect my growth plate and my elbow? So when you're young, your growth plates are more vulnerable. A lot of your injuries when you're young and your elbow are growth plate related. Any type of pulling like a chicken bone, if you're just really yanking on that, which typically we do an external rotation, you could start pulling that growth plate off. The key is to get a lot of the arm out of the throws, start learning better lower half mechanics, learning how to delay your trunk. That takes a lot of the arm work out of the throws, a lot of torque out of the throws. Also, get your grip strength at over 115 pounds each hand, 120 plus. Get the rest of your body strong. Everything we do with the 3X program is key. We can contact you on Snapchat. Yeah, I don't get on Snapchat as much. It'd be better to DM me. You're with Instagram. I'm 18. Can I make it big by the age of 22 if I really commit? Man, I really believe if you want to be a great in something, commitment is number one, and number two is time and genetics. So there's a lot behind it, but commitment is number one. So what you can do is you can overcome genetics, you can overcome time with commitment, and also too, making sure in that commitment you got a good program. So it's not you just work hard, you work smart. Should a 14-year-old pitch shut his arm down for the amount of time in the winter? Like I said before, he should come into off-season approach, which is drill-based, low stress, like we do with Top Velocity. Do you have a coach in the Los Angeles area? I do. Mike Laseka out of La Cañada. He's a great coach, Mike Laseka. If you want his contact information, DM me here. It is bad to have feet pointing out all the time. Yes, because you can fall into a valgus position. You want your feet in, your knees out. Jake Schiffer was reaching down there. What kind of gains did he make? I think Jake came very close to 90. I was assuming he'd be there by now, but he did. He made some good games. He's getting very close. Any coaches in North Carolina, not at the present time, but I would love to have that. Any 3X coaches in Atlanta? No, but Chris Medlin. I can get Chris Medlin to work with you. So DM me. I'll see if he'd be interested. I'm 5'11", 170 pounds. My vertical is 33. My broad jump is 9'3", and my hang clean is 205. How hard could I be throwing? Like I said, I need more variables than that. Good vertical jump, but you're still under 6 feet. I think you got good performance measurements, but I don't know how it's moving laterally, and I don't know how it's mobilizing or how you're sequencing it. I think you have the potential to throw hard with that explosive power. There's just other things that you need to do really well that I'm not sure if you're doing well. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Hope that was cool. I'm going to try to at least do these once a week. Want more information, topvelocity.net. Also, guys, check out topvelocity.club in databasing our camp profiles and some of the research that we're getting from the camps, like showing that vertical jumps has a pretty strong correlation to pitching velocity. Also, too, follow me on the networks. You can watch this. You can go back and watch all this on YouTube because I live stream on YouTube and it'll stay up on YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch the questions or if you missed them, go and check that out. So I hit 88. Congratulations, man. Now you got to start getting more consistently over 90 and then start working on your pitchability and you're ready to go, dude. All right. Peace out.